Hello, this is my first video for Liferay 7.2 demo, and in this demo I will going to show you the layout of Liferay 7.2. So even if your first time to use Liferay, you'll be able to learn everything starting from that video. If you already use Liferay, you're also going to learn the new feature that we added in Liferay 7.2. We also gonna go through the web content, so how we can create web content. We're gonna go through templates of content, create some pages. So this is gonna be my first video. And the next few videos, we're gonna learn more about translation, um, asset publisher, workflows, and a lot of other topics. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do it, I'm going to log in as an admin user. But as you may see here, I do have some content that I have in my demo. And the reason for that is I would like to use this template to create pages. I did not do any customization. What I did in this bundle, I just basically added some templates, some content in the context of my demo. You will still be able to build those content on your vanilla bundle that you download during your trial license. So let me log in here as an admin user. So I have Bruno, and once Bruno logged in, as I mentioned, Bruno is an admin user. So let's first just go through the layout of the platform. And then after this, we're going to spend time on the content management, which is our first feature in Liferay. So as you can see here on the left-hand side, when I click here, there is a left-hand side panel where it has a lot of features that it's only enabled for the admin user. So the first thing is the control panel. So that's the place where you can control everything in Liferay infrastructure. So if you actually gonna have other user that just admin on the site level, they will not have access to the control panel. So this is more should be like one or two user in your organization have access to because that can control all your Liferay installation. So under your control panel, you will have access to your users. So under the users here, you can have create users, or you can integrate Liferay to your LDAP environment and get your users from the LDAP. Also, you can inherit all your security groups that you created there inside Liferay. We're gonna have in another video more details about permissions, roles, security in Liferay. So that's gonna be in another video. But basically here you have the roles that you created, and inside each role you can define the permission for each role that they can do by going on each topic and assign permission for each role, and then those roles can be assigned to users. We'll talk in details about this in the security video. All right, and then after that you have the sites tab, and you may know Liferay is a multi-tenant environment. What that means is you can create multiple sites on the same infrastructure. So when you have the license of Liferay, if you decided tomorrow to create a new site, you do not need to purchase any extra license from Liferay. The same infrastructure can have a new site. That site can have his own URL, his own user, content, administrator, and completely separate from the other sites. As an example to this, I do have a site here that you can see, and also I created other sites. One of them is for an intranet and another one for insurance customer. So different use cases, each one has completely different look and feel, different content, and they're all running on the same infrastructure here. So anytime you want to create a site, it's easy. You just click on the add button on the top, and you can create a site as a blank site, and then you populate your pages, or you can create a site based on a template that you have previously created there. Right, once you create that site, you can see here each site will have his own admin console. So the site will have his own pages, his own content, assets. So all the site is completely a separate entity from the other side. They do not share content, they do not share users. Here's the thing, if you want to build a hierarchy site, which means you have a parent site and a child site, you still can do this in Liferay. So if you went to the control panel one more time, sites, and when you go to your sites, if I want to build a child site for Liferay DXP, I go on the three dots and I click add a child side. So what that do is when you create a child side, you basically share whatever in the parent side inside the child side. So if you have content you want to share it on multiple sites, you can make a parent-child relationship to create those sites. And then after the sites, you have the tab of apps, right? So apps is connection to our marketplace. So in Liferay, when we want to introduce a new feature that it doesn't require to have a new upgrade, and we want to minimize the upgrade for you, we introduce the idea of marketplace. So that's the place we introduce features. So you as an admin user, that's not for end user, that's for admin user. If, for example, you want to integrate SAP Business Object inside your Liferay, you do not need to do upgrades. You can just simply go to the marketplace, search for people who did a plugin like this before, and click on it and add it to your environment. Here's the thing, those connectors are coming from our partners as well as from Liferay. So you're gonna see plugins that coming from Liferay, and those plugins will be free, will be security safe. If you have a third party, since that third party own the code, you may need to verify with the third party on their security policy to make sure you're not having a backdoor to your portal. In that marketplace, any developers, any partners, they share their plugins. They can make it free, they make it paid. So that's the place where all Liferay community partners share plugins with the other customers. All right. Finally, you have the configuration tab. I do not want to go through all of this, but that's basically the place where you configure all the security, you configure your single sign-on, API authentication. There is a lot of details here. That's not the place where I need to cover it there. And then finally, you have the workflow. And here I want to spend a little bit of time. So Liferay comes with a very advanced workflow system that you can basically build any use case you want. So you can see here when I click on the process builder, those are workflows I created before. So let me click on one of them. So I'm gonna click on the first one, and you can see here for a single approval, that's a very basic use case. You can just basically add your tasks. You can decide how you wanna make your workflow move from one user to another, from one task to another. It's all visual editor here. For a task that like the one you guys see here, you can see I have two tasks only. The first task is to review the assets. So that workflow you create it once and you can use it with anything in Liferay. So here you can review the assets. You can see on the properties, you can define the notification. So on the notification, I'll send this notification to the admin user who's going to receive that review task and tell him a user, and here under this variables, you add the username, send you that task to be reviewed, and then you can decide how this notification will be sent by. Also, you can define who will get assigned this task as review. You can see there is an assignee, and here I actually assign it to all administrator inside my organization. So you can basically assign it to a specific role, or you can assign it to a specific user, or you can assign it also to a scripted assignment, right, which is very cool because you can actually make your assignment very dynamic. So, for example, if someone assign a document and this document is a legal document, you want a legal reviewer to go through it. But if someone assign a normal document, you want a normal reviewer to review it. So you can make your assignment pretty dynamic there. You can also say if someone like after 5 p.m. send it to that specific user, maybe sorry, before 5 p.m. send it to a user in the US. After 5 p.m. maybe send it to someone in Asia or Europe based on their business hour. So you can make your assignment pretty dynamic there. And as I mentioned before, you have no limitation for how your workflow looks like. I want to show you another workflow that I was just demoing to a bank. It's a little bit complex use case. You can see here that was a bank that required the documents that when they are legal documents, they want to send it to a legal reviewer. So you can see here a document get created. Here it determines if the content is legal or not, and if it's legal, it goes to a legal reviewer. If it's not legal, it goes to a content reviewer, and if any of those two people approve it, it goes to another final approval. And once the final approval approve it, it goes to the approved status and get published. So there's no limitation for what you can do. You can do parallel approvals, you can do multiple approvals, you can decide how the notification will be sent. It's very flexible environment here. Also, if you want to write codes, which is what I did here, you can simply go to the source code, and I basically wrote some Groovy script, and inside that Groovy script, I check inside the document if it has a tag, and if it's a content reviewer, I send it to a content reviewer person, and if it has a tag as a legal reviewer, I send it to a legal reviewer person. So basically, you can write any code you want to make your workflow works. All right, so going back to my admin console one more time, you can see here under the workflow, there is also metrics, and we're going to show this once we go and test the workflow that you can actually monitor your workflow. So you can see how many workflows under the single approval manager. You can click on them. So once I have a workflow, I'm going to be able to click. You can see where that task is blocked at, how long it stayed at that stage. So you kind of have a dashboard for your workflow to monitor if a task stayed too long. You can get notified and you can take an action for that. Right? And then finally, you have the search tuning. So you may know that Liferay is comes out of the box integrated with Elasticsearch. If you didn't hear about Elasticsearch before, it's basically the leader of search engine in an enterprise environment. It's basically Google search for enterprise. You're gonna have your AI search. You're gonna have autocomplete. We're gonna have a complete video for this search engine. It's pretty advanced, comes out of the box integrated with Liferay, and here you have feature to kind of tune your search engine if you want. So I'm gonna close my control panel, going back to my site here, and I'm gonna go to my next part of this demo. I need to talk about the content management system in Liferay DXP. So in Liferay 7.2, we introduce it to a way of creating content. There is a content that you created and can be shared on any page in Liferay and also can be shared outside of Liferay using APIs and headless approach, which we're going to have a video for that as well. So this content you created once and you can add it on any page or you can share it outside of Liferay. So basically Liferay will be your content centric where you have all your content and then you can share this content inside and outside of Liferay. Another way of creating content is on the specific page itself. It gives you more flexibility for editing this content, but the downside of it, it's actually stuck to only one page, so you cannot share it between pages. We have the two approaches. We always recommend to use the two approaches together. Whenever you feel a content will not going to be shared, you want to provide flexibility to edit it. You use the second method. If you want to have a content will be shared, use the first method. So let's start with the first method, which is creating a content that can be shared on multiple pages. So I'm going to go ahead here and on the left hand side, I'm going to my content folder. I'm going to go to my web content, and under my web content here, I'm going to create my first web content. So on the left hand side, I will click on the add button, and you can see on the add button here, I have templates that I created previously. I can use one of those templates, or I can use a content without any templates. So basically, I have access to all HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We do not recommend to use the non-templated content because your content creator may not be technical enough to know how to add advanced HTML, CSS. They may not create content that be consistent in the fonts and the color, but I still want to show it to you so you still know that you have that feature on your environment. So I'm going to click on basic web content. And here on the basic web content, I'm going to start my first content. And again, this content is not templated, which means that you have full access to your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So let's create the first one. So my first content will be, I'm going to name it my first web content. That's my name for it. And now I can start adding my content. So I already have some HTML that I need to copy here. So for example, I'm going to copy content regarding our Gartner report. Here you can see you have kind of like a Office Word experience where when you highlight something, it shows you what controls you have access to. So maybe I can make this bold. I can maybe come here, click add, and then I can add a separator. I add some text, and maybe under this text I need to add an image. So when I click on the add button here, that connect me to my document repository, and I can add videos, audios, I can add images, which is what I'm gonna do now. In my images, I can choose pre-existing image, or I can simply deploy an image from my desktop. So I have an image here from my Gartner reports, added, and here's our Gartner report that I just added here. Click add. So now I have the Gartner report. And again, you have full flexibility to edit anything you want. You can just minimize this, and this is how it looks like. If you are technical enough, you can just basically go to the source code, and now you can see the source code, and also you can see your content at the same time. So I can come here and I can say style equal color red, and you can see immediately get reflected, and you can see the color immediately became red. So you can write your CSS, JavaScript, HTML here, and you immediately see how that code will look like. I saw customers that they write a complete JavaScript application here. It's not recommended, but you still can do it, right? So I created my content, and then just before I publish this, I want to actually show some properties that you have flexibility on. So the first properties I want to show is you can tag this content. So I can tag it as first content. So if someone search for first content, they actually gonna have this in their search results. You can also do, let me show other tem- uh, uh, features here that I want to go through. Yeah, schedule. You can schedule this content. So let me give you an example here. If you want to publish a content that will goes on Thanksgiving, and of course nobody wants to work on Thanksgiving, so you can do this a week or a month before, and you can decide when this content will be displayed. Also, you have access to something called review. So what's review is? If you have content, a lot of content, thousand and a lot of content in your content repository, and you want to make sure that every year or two or every month you get a notification for your content to review it, and either to keep it in your content repository or to archive it or to delete it, you can enable that feature. So if I enable the review date, what's going to happen is the author will receive a notification. They can review the content, they can delete it, they can archive it, or they can keep it live. In my demo here, I'm not gonna enable the review. I'm not gonna enable the expiration. So I'm gonna keep it here. And finally, I have flexibility if I want this content to be searchable or not. I'm gonna keep it searchable, which means that Liferay will index everything inside this content. And I have one last tab here to discuss, which is the related assets. And this is a very cool feature. So imagine that you want to publish content, and you want to, in this content, talk about new procedures that you would take for opening, let's say, a support ticket. And you have a PDF that talks in details about this. Instead of repeating your steps and going through your content, going through the steps, you can relate your content to the PDF you have. So if user found the PDF, they were going to see the announcement. And if users see the announcement, they'll see the PDF as well. It's kind of to learn the search engine that those two assets are related together. Also, when you publish the announcement, you have the option to publish also your related assets as well. So I can come here and say I want to relate these assets to a document, and you can search on your document repository. I have images here, but you can find the PDF you want to relate to. You can click on it, and what's going to happen is this PDF will be related to the content you just published right now. Right, so I finished this. Again, there's no workflow, there's no templates here. Just hit publish. So now I have this published now. This is ready to be added to any page in Liferay and outside of Liferay. Okay. Anytime I want to view it, I can simply click on the preview tab, and I can view how this content will look like outside of Liferay. All right, so let's say looks good, but I just want to use templates. I do not want my content creators to be able um, to basically have access to all HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And that's what we have in Liferay. We have a way to allow you to create templates. Those templates can be as fancy as you want, and then give give content creators be able to use this template to create their content. So you can see here when I click add, I have a lot of templates that I can choose from. But let me just, before showing you how I can create content using those templates, show you how this template was created in the first place. So in the template, if you go here to the structure, templates is divided on two things. You create a structure, and for the structure, you can create multiple templates. So first thing here, you can see I have a structure. So I have a lot of structures here. So let me go to a simple one. So I have title, image, text structure. So basically in that structure, I ask the content creator to add the article header, upload an image, and then add a text. As simple as that. In my templates, I will take those variables and maybe add the image on the top or on the left, on the right, and then maybe the text on the left or the right. So I allow in the structure, you define the variables or define the fields that you want your content creator to fill it. And then on the template, you define how those fields will look like. So let's see how the template looks like. So if I hit back here and I go to my structure that I just showed here, and again, let me actually open the structure one more time. You can simply add more field by drag and drop here. Okay, so you drop and then that's that field. You can define the name of it, if it's required, not required, so you have a lot of property to control your fields. So I'm going to delete that one here. And after you create your structure, now you can create template for that structure. So let's see how that looks like. So if I went to my content templates and click edit, and I'm gonna go manage templates. So I created 3 templates here. And in each template, I either put the image on the left, right, or top. So let's go to a simple one. Let's say the first one is the image on the right. So if I click on that one, you can see it's basically just an HTML. I take the title, so this is the variable. I get the title that the user fill on the structure, and I add it on the top and I make it bold. And then I have to dev to take the image and to take the text. So it's basically in a template, you can define how those structure that you filled will look like on your pages. So this is how I create structure in template. Let's add a content using that structure. So I'm going back to my web content, and here I'm gonna click add, and I have this template already here. It's called, let me open this all. It's called title image text. So I'm gonna click on that one, and here you can see I have the fields that I defined them in my structure. So I'm gonna add the same content I added previously. So I have here the title for the Gartner, right? And maybe add the title in the article, right? And now I have here the image. So I'm gonna select the image. I already deployed, so I don't need to redeploy it. I'm gonna use the Gartner image. And now on the article text, I'm going to copy this. So I'm gonna copy that, and I'm gonna add this on the article text, right? So I felt that I do not have any access to the HTML or CSS or JavaScript. Just have to fill those fields. That's all I need to do here. Properties is still the same, so I'm not gonna go through them again. And you can see here, I decided that to have the image on the left. So let's publish this. And you can see now if I actually went down here and I actually decided to go to this content and just click on preview, so you can see how it looks like. I have the image on the left, I have the content on the right, and I have the header on the top. I did not need to write any HTML, CSS, or JavaScript to make it look this way. Okay. The nice thing about this as well is that I can simply anytime decide how I want this content to look like. So if I actually edited this, I can say, right now I do not want it to have the image on the left, so maybe I want it to have the image on the right. So you can see Same content, but the template looks different. I can make an image on the top. Again, same content, but the content is different. I may need to change a little bit the image on the top since the image is pretty big. But basically, this is how I can have the same content with different templates there, right? So now I created this, I have it available. This content, I can actually start using it on external pages and add it on other pages as well. One last thing I want to actually talk about it, which is the translation. So if I actually went to the web content itself, and in the web content itself, you click on this flag, you can see there is a lot of languages that you can enable it to allow this content to be translated to. Normally, out of the box in Liferay, the only translation we do have is manually, so you can simply click on the language you want and you can basically translate it to. So I'm going to click on this and you manually overwrite this to translate it. What I did in this demo, I actually integrate Amazon Translation Web Services to work with Liferay. So I add a plugin, and that plugin I customize it to any content. I tag it as auto translate. It send it to Amazon to be auto translated and add the translation in Liferay. So let's see how that works. But before doing this, I want to limit the language that I have to translate just for our time. So I'm going to my site, and under my site, I'm going to properties, settings, and I'm going to go languages, and I'm going to define the language I need to have on this site. So here you can see I have all the languages. I'm just going to make it only English and maybe also French and Portuguese, Spanish, right? So only 4 languages I'm going to make it available. Those, by the way, not the only language we have. We do have over 44 language, so whatever language you want to have in Liferay, I'm almost positive you're going to find it. All right, so I'm going to save that. Going back to my content. So you can see here if I went back to the same content I was talking about, if I click edit, you can see this content is actually now have 4 language that can be translated to, and it's not translated. It's say untranslated here. So let's auto translate this. All right, I'm not gonna translate it manually. I'm gonna auto translate it. So I'm going to my tag folder, and in my tag I'm gonna add auto translate. And after I'm doing this, I'm going to publish this. So that actually sent it to Amazon, and that's based on the modules that I built. It sent the code to Amazon to auto translate this and send it back to Liferay. And you can see here on my code, I add some logs to show. So you can see here the language already got translated, send it back to Liferay. So if I went back to the content and hit edit again, just choose any other language. I'm going to choose French. You can see it translated to French. You can see here all the content got translated. Right, maybe Portuguese, it's already translated. Spanish, it's already translated. So whatever language I want, it's already translated, and I did not manually translate anything. In a real case scenario, when our customer use the auto translation, they basically use it with workflow. So you auto translate the content, send it to someone to review the auto translation. They can edit it, and they can approve it after that. Let's say anything, let's say I came here and I just decided I want to edit something, so I'm going to make Gartner, and let's say I'm going to do edit it, just add some code here, and maybe I want to publish this one more time. You can see now on the content itself, if I came here and I click view history, it tells me all the history that I created in this content. So anytime I can decide I want to compare my last version was the one previous to that one's, and then Liferay will compare both of them. It tells me between version 1.2 and 1.3 there is actually the word edited got added there. So anything in green got added, anything in red got removed. So you can always just know what got added, what got removed from your content. Right? With that part of the video, I'm gonna stop here, and in the next video we're gonna see how we can add this content on pages, create more content that can be stick to a specific page. Thank you.